Why you keep falling back into old versions of yourself even after you've grown. The pattern interrupt. Have you ever noticed how, in moments of stress, you don't become a new version of yourself? You revert to an older one? Despite all your growth, insight, and healing, certain triggers pull you backward into reactions you thought you had outgrown. This isn't failure. It's your nervous system defaulting to the version of you it trusts the most. The provocative question: what if growth isn't about never going back, but about noticing faster when you do? Most people assume change means permanent transformation, but real psychological evolution is more like repetition with awareness. You don't erase old patterns, you learn to interrupt them sooner. The hidden truth: the version of you that shows up under pressure is not your enemy. It is your survival programming. And unless that programming is updated through repetition, not intention, it will always override your best insights when life gets heavy. Many people misunderstand personal growth. They assume that once you heal, the old version of them disappears. That triggers a quiet frustration when life proves otherwise. You read the books, you had the breakthroughs, you understood your patterns, you even felt different for a while. But then something happens. A stressful conversation, a moment of rejection, a sudden disappointment. And suddenly, you're not the evolved version of yourself anymore. You're the familiar one, the reactive one, the defensive one, the anxious one, the version you swore you were done being. This creates an internal contradiction that feels discouraging. But psychologically, it is completely normal, because the brain does not delete old versions of you. It stores them. Every version of you that ever helped you survive still exists in your nervous system. The old you is not outdated software that gets deleted when a new update arrives. It is more like multiple operating modes that activate under different conditions. The most practiced mode wins under pressure. This is why awareness alone is not enough. You can understand your triggers perfectly and still react to them. Because understanding happens in the thinking mind, but reactions happen in the body, in the nervous system, in patterns built over years of repetition. When stress rises, the brain does not ask, "What version of me is most enlightened?" It asks, "What version of me kept me safe before?" And it activates that one. This is why growth often feels inconsistent. You're not moving backward, you're switching states. And the goal of healing is not to eliminate the old self entirely. It is to shorten the time you stay in it. At first, the gap between trigger and awareness is large. You react, you justify it later, you feel regret afterward. But over time, something begins to shift. You still react, but you notice faster. You still fall into old patterns, but you interrupt them sooner. You still feel overwhelmed, but you recover more quickly. This is what real rewiring looks like. Not perfection, but decreasing duration. The old self becomes less of a permanent identity and more of a temporary state you pass through. Another important truth is that the old version of you was not created randomly. It was built through adaptation. That version learned how to survive emotional environments that may have felt unsafe, unpredictable, or overwhelming. So when it returns, it is not trying to sabotage your growth. It is trying to protect you using outdated tools. The problem is not that it exists. The problem is that it is still being triggered in situations where it no longer belongs. This is where self-awareness becomes powerful, but only when paired with self-regulation. Awareness says, "I see what is happening." Regulation says, "I can pause before I become it." That pause is everything. Because in that space, you are no longer fully identified with the reaction. You are observing it. And observation creates choice. Most people try to eliminate their old patterns through force. They shame themselves. They promise to never do it again. They try to override their nervous system with willpower. But nervous systems do not respond well to punishment. They respond to repetition, safety, and consistency. Every time you interrupt an old pattern, even imperfectly, you weaken its automatic power. Every time you choose a different response, even briefly, you strengthen a new pathway. Over time, the old self does not disappear. It becomes less dominant, less automatic, less convincing. You stop saying, "That's just who I am," and start realizing, "That's just a pattern I learned." This distinction is where freedom begins, because identity is not fixed, it is reinforced behavior, and what is reinforced can be rewritten. The most important shift in this entire process is compassion, because the moment you stop treating your old self as an enemy, you stop feeding the shame cycle that keeps it active. Shame strengthens old patterns. Compassion weakens them. Not because it excuses behavior, but because it removes the emotional pressure that keeps the nervous system stuck in defense mode. You are not becoming someone new overnight. You are training your system to recognize that it is safe to respond differently, and that takes time. But every small interruption matters. Every moment of awareness matters. Every pause matters. Because healing is not becoming unrecognizable. It is becoming more conscious in the moments you used to run on autopilot. And that is what real transformation looks like. Not a different you, a more aware you, a more present you. A you that returns to yourself faster each time.